Hi, welcome back to my City Skylines Let's Play. Again, this is Clovis County. So to start off, I did a little bit of a time lapse of just some general road placement and residential zoning. A little bit of service upgrades were needed along the way, like power and water. My goal today is to develop enough of a population to the point where we have some form of more steady income. I really want to start working on developing the beachfront, and in order to do that, I am going to need better weekly income I'm going to use a lot of the park assets. One of the assets I plan on using is one of the custom beach assets, which simulates people on the beach. I'm going to couple that probably with a nature park. Just so I want to make it a park area so I can place assets along the beach without needing a road access. One of the difficulties I'll face doing that is I do want to use the pedestrian roads for that main thoroughfare at some point. So I'll have to decide certain little areas where the pedestrian area is going to be overlapped or overtaken by a park area in order to get some of those gates in. But hopefully that'll all work out. Um, Initially I had considered moving out onto a new tile to develop industry this episode, which is typically how I like to go about getting, that early game income using the industry's DLC. Typically farming or forestry are the easier ones to get in place. However, I don't want to confront the highway interchange yet. Essentially, my main thoroughfare into the city is going to have to be connected to that highway. I'm going to have to turn it from a three-way into a four-way, which I am not good at interchanges. I had considered downloading a custom asset, but I think that would defeat the purpose of the whole reason I'm doing this channel, which is kind of to improve my gameplay. So I'm going to try to build a custom interchange and probably farming in a future episode, but for now we'll keep it to getting our basic framework intact. And speaking of the basic framework, I think the plan is to destroy, unfortunately, a lot of the zoning by that main entrance there and the road networks and replace them, as I kind of goofed when I spaced them out. But one good thing about this game is it is a game, and unlike in real life, you can level massive amounts of your city without anybody complaining. Alright, so I'm going to allow this time lapse to continue, and I'll come back when it's about finished. So, it looks like I want to get some form of a high school in here. As my commercial levels up, I want to prevent them from crying out for needing more educated workers. Although I don't plan on placing any form of university for some time, so you're still going to see a little bit of it. But one of the things I like to do with high schools is really build out some kind of a campus for them. The elementary schools, typically, at least around me, you might have a playground attached to them, but you don't necessarily see like sports fields and, a lot of other infrastructure around them. Particularly the city I work in, the high school has a track, a football field, an external gym, a large property. It has like some form of a groundskeeping shed, large parking lot facilities. So high schools are important buildings in communities, especially parents take a lot of pride in their kids' sporting events. So we want to really spend some time with the high school here. So I'm using the parking lot roads. I'm not great with these, but yeah, I want to get better. So that's the theme of this whole project for me is improving my gameplay. I think there's a walloping 1 view on my first video, and that was me. So probably won't get any feedback from anybody anytime soon. But I think the act of making these things and being more thoughtful, because just the thought that somebody might watch it maybe makes me think a little bit more into it, is a helpful exercise. So I really want to get some kind of sporting field in here. Um, but I don't have the space in this area, so maybe I'll do a larger sporting field in the neighboring parcel. The two of them are still quite close. So for the meantime, I'll use these courts. I think those would be something you would easily find at a high school. And throw in some of these newer, smaller park assets. Just, start using them. I'm not familiar with them, so anytime something new comes out, I try to incorporate that into my build. What I like about these new parks is the size of some of them is a little bit smaller, so you can really start to get more detailing into some of your smaller areas. And sometimes I think the smallest park that we really had was the 4x4s before this, and you get those little awkward spaces that these will really help to fill up, especially if you're trying to bring up your land value and you don't want to delete some of your zoning that's already occurred. But in the meantime, I'm going to get this school area detailed up a little bit and maybe get another sports field down here in here somewhere, and we'll be back. Okay, so now we got the little high school area done. Got a field in there, some parks, some paths. Nice little area for students to hang out and, enjoy their time at school. So now I think we're going to start looking at redeveloping some of our road networks and planning out what will eventually be our beach area. So I don't want to start a pedestrianized road yet due to the cost, but I do think I'm going to sketch out, my framework with a normal avenue so we can start developing commercial in this area kind of down here. Um, and maybe I'll add another connection here for my industry, as I'm going to redesign most of this at some point anyway. But in the meantime, we got a little traffic backing up, so we want to make sure we get them moving, dezone some of this stuff, as it's unfortunately all going to go. So I think maybe we'll start moving towards developing this area with our avenue, and then we can start thinking about where we want to go from there. So I think I'm gonna just basically follow this right along the sand and grass barrier there, as it is going to be my boardwalk at some point. I want it kind of, that Atlantic City, or God, I can't think of the beach I'm thinking of in North Carolina right now off the top of my head. Not Virginia Beach. Oh, this is embarrassing. What is that beach called? Oh well, it'll come to me. But that beachfront boardwalk, where we could have hotels and something maybe like casinos, luxury condos, really just kind of go to town with the tourism and the nightlife, commercial, probably even use the new shopping malls. It's really going to be the center of our commerce for the city, serving our tourists. Obviously, we're still going to have, the commercial uses for our city residents and things like that. Grocery stores and whatnot will be located other areas in the city, but for this beachfront here, definitely going to focus on tourism, those new hotels. So I'm just going to clean up this stuff because for some reason anarchy's always on. I always forget to turn it off when I place my roads. So you'll see me doing this type of thing a lot. Yeah, I'm sure I'll get better with time. Although, from watching other people who play this game, it seems to be a common issue for people out there. Alright, so we got our little road developed. Now we really want to think of how we're going to connect all this to the highway. So I think I'm going to move my infrastructure a little bit back and maybe think about what this connection is going to look like. Originally, I had kind of thought of that, bring the highway all the way down, terminate it at the road's end, kind of Atlantic City-esque. But now I'm really thinking towards the traffic circle route, something where I can put maybe a monument or some kind of a park to really, I want when people come off that highway, something awesome that they see in front of them, something that says like, I'm here, I'm at the beach. Not too sure what that's going to be yet, but I think a pretty large traffic circle will satisfy that. So need to do a little bit of smoothing before we start working on our road network. That's one thing. Try to remember to do ahead of time. All right, so let's start preparing our Road network here. This is going to be a little painful. I embarrassingly don't space everything, and now that I'm thinking about doing this traffic circle idea, I really want to blow some of this out, but there goes most of our development. About ready to put in this traffic circle. I guess I gotta create a node here, as I want it about as centered as possible. One of the things I struggle with is the centering when, you have setups like this where you're basically not able to use road guidelines to help you out or the grid. So I'm going to do the best I can. Bear with me on that. I think that looks about centered to me. If you talk to my wife when it comes to like hanging things on the wall, she'll tell you I can't center anything for the life of me. So I'm sure if anybody ever watches this, they'll point out to me that I'm completely off. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do right there. But not a big deal. We can fix that. So now, probably gonna have to move that water tower again. Those power lines. We got to think, how are we gonna connect into this traffic circle now? Yeah, I want to have some kind of a very grand entrance, so I think maybe go with an exaggerated connection of some form or another. Thankfully, I already have nodes on the areas where I need them here, although I could just, put the cross sections in order to lock this thing into place. The worst is when you drop a traffic circle down and you forget to brace it correctly before you start adding roads into it, and then it all gets distorted. So I'm going to use the freeform road tool in order to accomplish connecting this. This is where I struggle on how to get these symmetrical. It is not going to be perfect, but as City Planner Plays tells us, let's not let perfect be the enemy of good. And I mean, that's pretty decent, but not perfect. Maybe if we use the arrange it. Nope, that's not going to be what I want. I'm still not super familiar with this tool, but we'll give it a shot on both sides. Try to lessen that angle, but I'm still a little off here. It is basically what I was looking for, though. Coming down that highway, you can imagine something in the middle of that traffic circle to kind of call attention to what you have going on there, and that should basically be what I'm looking for. So I'm going to upgrade all this to highway roads, change the direction to the correct direction. Now this is really a continuation of the highway. Let's get this traffic circle connected into our avenue down here. Yeah, maybe we'll do an avenue for this, and of course, no node. Okay, well, we'll have to make our braces, like we spoke of earlier. Not a big deal. Just get enough in here to make sure that this thing doesn't distort when I draw my connection in there. There we go. And now just gotta connect that in. And I can delete my braces, perfect. And now maybe upgrade this road. Move it just a little bit first though, get it a little bit straighter. Really try to make it like that 90-degree angle. And there, upgraded. Everything looks pretty good. And yeah, I think I like this. I think this is pretty close to what I was looking for. You know, I'm hoping that traffic won't become too bad through here, especially since this is going to be a high density area. It might be a good idea to figure some other ways on and off of the highway. But maybe we'll just take a look at some of our roads, make this into the 4-lane, as I'm going to get a lot of industrial traffic going in and out of there. Should be good with the 4-lane. And now I'm just going to do a little bit of TMPE and some node controller stuff. Work on my traffic circle flow, lane mathematics, and I'll be back after that. Add a connection here now that I think my traffic circle is pretty worked out, but we'll see what happens with traffic. I'm not super great at it. But one thing I also want to do to mitigate whatever traffic starts developing down there is provide some relief by making an off-ramp and an on-ramp up here with an overpass. This will also probably serve as access to the other side as well without having to get on and off the highway. But I'll also, definitely make one of these into an on and off. I don't think I'm going to make it a bi-directional. Is that the word I'm looking for? On and off, as there's no need to get back on the highway from this area to go into the traffic circle again. So I really only need people to be able to get off the highway here and then get back on to leave. I don't need them, so it'll kind of be like a single direction on and off ramp. So I'm gonna go for the elevate the ground, if you will, rather than the bridge. It just seems a little bit more likely to me that that's what you would see, rather than a giant bridge that goes over this thing. And get rid of this zoning in here. I think I'll use some of this space for services or maybe, unique buildings or commercial, something really that we want sitting up on the highway. Um, that would be a cool thing to have, as you're passing by on the highway. I like, things that sit on the highway that have importance or have meaning to make the entrance into this a little bit more grand. But we'll see. We'll see what we come up with as we progress further. So for now, I wonder if I can make like a wall here with the key. I don't know if I like that. That's really affecting the terrain in ways that I don't like. Maybe I can move it. That's still not looking great. I really want something under this bridge, kind of as a, like a retaining wall or something. I feel like, yeah, I don't know if I like that. We'll call them all again on that idea. But there's that blue. It's clipping, so maybe if I push this back a little bit, it will solve that issue. Let's see. Yep, that looks better. So we'll do the same thing over here. Definitely looks a little bit better. Still a little harsh. But I think it'll do. I think that'll do. So yeah, we got to get rid of everything along here for now. Plenty of more potential for zoning. Fortunately, I'm pretty sure I lost my initial family, but maybe we'll find a way to put them back in down the line. But like, at least the gas station back in for now, right? Like that was the... No. That's not what I'm looking for. I'll just go in a commercial and find something that looks like a gas station. I really lose track of, the custom assets of service. The custom assets are really named better than the vanilla ones. I don't know. I guess there's a way to make tags and things like that. I feel like that's a pretty time-consuming task to undertake, but hey. But yeah, we got our little service station back in. We're only gonna draw like 50% of the customers probably if it's really only pulling people who are coming off the highway then back on, and in all likelihood you're probably not getting off the highway here unless you're a resident. Yeah, that's kind of what I think of this as being, is the little secondary exit, if you will, for the people who live in the city, or maybe for local deliveries and things like that. I wouldn't see any of the tourists really getting off here. So unfortunately, our gas station revenue probably just took a bit of a hit. But hey, I'm sure, our founding family will have themselves involved in other ventures as the series progresses. So I'm not super worried about this side of the road yet, but let's get, some frames down, just kind of to see what it's going to look like. Set our slopes, 7%. Might still be a little steep, but we want it to kind of mirror the other side. Yeah, I do desire symmetry for the most part. I don't know if that's realistic or not. I take a look at some of these overpasses near me, and I don't always see symmetry in them. I think a lot of them are, based on the terrain and things like that. Um, but yeah, I like things that look good to my eye, so I think this will do. We'll level this guy out a little bit when we get a chance. Shrink down our lanes so that way it makes sense. You know, we're going from that 3 lane to the 2 lane, and then from the 2 lane, and when we gain the merge, we'll go up to the 3. And I think that'll work, right? As we're coming down, the lane splits off. That's what Biffa's lane mathematics are all about, right? Hopefully I'm doing that correctly, doing it justice. Oh, 4.7, that's not bad. I can live with that. Yeah, it looks that looks good. I think this is what I intended, right? So straighten these nodes out a little bit. Node controller is one of those things that, you know, if I occasionally will play on my Xbox, if my son really enjoys on the console version of the game, you can drive the cars in a first-person perspective, if you will, or a third person. And my son, he's 4. He really enjoys driving cars around the city. He's like, "Daddy, can we play the city game?" So occasionally I still build cities on the Xbox, and not having node controller, it just makes the intersections look so much better. You know, like I think I said in the first episode, I've only been playing modded for a short period of time, and what a difference it makes. It's so hard to go back without it. But in this case, we have it. So I think we look pretty good here. All right, so let's detail this up and see where we end up. I think we're pretty much towards the end of what I look to accomplish today. And then next episode, we can really start working on building up that beachfront and some parks and really beautifying this city a little bit.